The student wants to specify why historians believe Abele designed most of Duke's campus buildings. So why historians believe something, that's what he wants to specify. Okay, so architect Julian Abele studied Gregorian and Neo-Gothic architecture in Europe. Abele worked for an architecture firm that was hired in 1924 to design buildings for Duke University's new campus. Most of the building on Duke's campus were designed by the Gregorian and Neo-Gothic architectural styles. At the time, Abele was not formally credited with designing the buildings. Based on the building's architectural styles, historians believe Abele designed most of the campus. So historians believe it. At first, he didn't get credit for it. Why? He did study those architectural designs in Europe. I suspect that's the why. Abele worked for an architecture firm that was hired, and he worked for the firm that did build it, right? So he worked for the firm, and his background was by study the architecture that was used in the building. So that's probably why. So given most of the buildings on Duke's campus featured architectural styles that Abele studied in Europe, yep, historians believe Abele is the one who designed them. Yes, that you have to add the point that he worked for the firm that actually built those buildings too. But that looks pretty good, eh? I'm going to circle that. Let's just check B, C, and D. Though Abele wasn't formally credited at the time, historians believe he designed, that just states the facts again, not the why. There's no why in that, okay? C, most of Duke's campus buildings, which were designed by a firm Abele worked for. Okay, this part has him working for that firm. That's good, and it's an important fact. Were designed in well, just because they were designed in those styles doesn't mean he designed it. That doesn't explain why. Abele, an architect who studied these styles in Europe, is believed to design most of the buildings. No, that just says what the conclusion is. There's a belief, no why in there. A couple of answers don't address why, which is the real key, and that is A. The student wants to introduce the artist's 1983 poetry collection. Okay, so he's got to introduce the collection, not talk about the end of it, the middle of it, the artist's career. He's introducing this collection. So the audience probably is not familiar. Well, it doesn't really say that. So Cecilia is a multidisciplinary artist. In 1971, her solo art exhibition, Pinturas, Poemas, Explicaciones, was shown in the Museo Nacional de Bellas Artes in Santiago, Chile. Her poetry collection, Precarious, was published in 1983 by Tandem Press. Her poetry collection, Instan, was published by Kelsey Press. She lives part-time in Chile, where she born. Okay, so we don't really care so much about her. We don't care too much about who published them, right? But we do care about the poems themselves. And we know her first, so we want to introduce her poetry collection. This was shown, again, I don't care about where it was shown, but I do care about the collection itself. So this should all be in my answer. Before she published the books Precarious in 1983 and Instan in 2002, she exhibited visual art at the Museo Nacional in Santiago, Chile. That's not introducing her poetry collection. That's not right. She is a true multidisciplinary artist who includes poetry. That's not introducing her poetry collection. Published in 1983 by Tandem Press, Precarious is a collection of poetry by the multidisciplinary. No, that's not her collection. Does it say it's a specific collection? No, right? All of these are poetry. Poetry, her first art exhibition. So this one's not art. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. This one is not poetry, it's art. Only the last two. So I want to see Instan and Precario in there. Okay? Before she published the books, Precario, she exhibited, that's not focusing or introducing the poetry. So in 1971, she exhibited her first art exhibition, Pinturas Poemas in Chile. No, that's her art exhibition. So published in Tandem Press, Precario, that's poetry, right? Yes. Is a collection of poetry by the multidisciplinary artist. But that's not her collection. That misses the Instan. So wait a second. I might have missed this. Let's see. Cecilia Viquina is a true multidisciplinary artist who include numerous poetry collections and visual art exhibitions. We want to introduce her 83 collection. I really just goofed that. Her 83 collection is Precario, precarious. I don't know why, missed that condition entirely on my first read. C is clearly the answer. That is her 83 poetry, and this is definitely introducing that. C is the correct answer. The student wants to emphasize a difference between C-type and S-type asteroids, okay? Not the sameness, but the differences, okay? So we're probably going to have some type of contrasting transition in our answer choice, like whereas. My guess is that could be the answer because I do see whereas, but we have to read them. So let's go ahead and check. So scientists classify asteroids based on their composition. C-type are composed primarily of carbon, and they're 75% of asteroids. S-type are primarily of silicate. They're about 17. So what are the differences? A lot more are C-type, and the composition, that is the actual metals, the actual elements making up the asteroids, is different for the two of them as well. So we're going to get one of those differences probably in our answer. I'm going to go down to this D first. C-type asteroids are mainly composed of carbon. That's true. Whereas S-type are primarily silicate. That is a difference, and it's being emphasized. I think that is going to be correct. And the whereas transition helped us identify that. We'll check A, B, and C though. Planetary scientists classify into two types. No, that's not a difference between the C and the S types. Planetary scientists consider an asteroid's composition when classifying it. Well, of course, but that says nothing about the difference between the C and the S. Roughly 17% of known asteroids are S. Another percentage is well, if it were more specific, that actually might be a good contrast. But this does not say that it's more. It doesn't say it's 75%. It doesn't say anything. None of that's in there. Therefore, this is a bad contrast, a bad difference. D is the better answer. The student wants to provide an explanation and an example. So I need both explanation and example of aeolian landforms, whatever that is, okay? So in geology, an aeolian landform is one that has been created by the wind, okay? So any landform created by the wind is what we want an explanation and an example of. I'd like to see it too. I'd like to see an example. So this is actually kind of an explanation right here. Okay. In Greek mythology, Aeolus is the keeper of the winds. Aeolian landforms are created when the wind erodes, transports, and deposits material. That's a better explanation. The mushroom rock is a rock formation which the top is wider than the base. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Like kind of rocks in the desert. They look like that, right? And there's the land. They kind of look like an anvil or something. A mushroom rock can be formed when the wind erodes the base and the top at different rates. So mushroom rock is the example. And the explanation is their landforms are formed by the wind when it erodes, transports, and deposits material. So this is our explanation, so to speak, right here. Okay. So aeolian landforms are created by different wind-based processes. That's shown by this, different processes. For example, some are created by wind erosion. Well, that doesn't give us an example. There's no example there. Aeolian landforms created by wind, that's true, include the mushroom rock. There's an example in which the wind erodes the base faster than the top. That's going to be it. Unless we somehow get a better explanation, this is probably the answer. We'll check C and D. Erosion, transportation, deposition are three examples of how the wind... No, these are examples of how aeolian wind forms, not examples of aeolian landforms. And mushroom rocks. And like additive, this mushroom rocks are extra. That's not right either. So C is wrong. A mushroom rock is a rock formation that owes its shape to the wind, a natural force associated with Aeolus in Greek mythology. Okay, this says nothing about the fact that it's an aeolian landform. It just says a natural force associated with Aeolus. That's just a weird reference to Aeolus. That doesn't explain what an aeolian landform is, which we have to do. And it gives us a weird example, but how do we know it's an example? Because we never got the explanation in the first place. B is the correct answer. The student wants to emphasize the location of the first synchrotron built to provide synchrotron light. Okay? So we want to emphasize the location of the first. Not sure why that's important, but let's read. Circular particle accelerators, known as synchrotrons, radiate energy in the form of light. Synchrotron light is among the brightest light ever produced. Synchrotron light is an ideal tool for researchers investigating the structure of matter. The first synchrotron created for the purpose of providing synchrotron light was built in 1968. I don't care about the when, right? And I don't care about the purpose for this question. I care about the location. It was called Tantalus and was housed near the University of Wisconsin-Madison. There we go. That's what I need. So Tantalus, the first synchrotron created for the purpose of providing synchrotron, was built in 1968. Don't care about the when. Circular particle accelerators, known as synchrotron, radiate energy form of light, and this light is ideal. That's kind of what it's good for, not what I need for the answer. Here we go. This is the only answer mentioning University of Wisconsin-Madison, so it's got to be right. In the first synchrotron created for the purpose of providing synchrotron light, Tantalus was housed near the university. So the first, it was a synchrotron, and here's where it was. That's the location. C is the right answer. D, I'll read it. Synchrotron light is among the brightest ever produced, making it ideal for research that says nothing about location. The student wants to emphasize the fossil's significance. So why is whatever fossil important? Why is it important? Pinnipeds, which include seals, sea lions, and walruses, live in and around the water. Pinnipeds are described or descended not from sea animals, but from four-legged land-dwelling carnivores. Okay, that's interesting. Canadian paleobiologist such and such recently found a fossil with 4 legs, webbed toes, and the skull teeth of a seal. She refers to her rare find as a transitional fossil. Okay. Still not really getting the importance of the fossil, except, well, is this kind of the importance? It's the transition. It's kind of connecting these animals to land animals, right? The fossils illustrate an early stage in the evolution of pinnipeds from their land-dwelling ancestors. Yeah, exactly it. So the importance is it's a transitional fossil. This is the answer. So we need that in the answer choice. A transitional fossil was recently found. Well, that doesn't really say what the fossil is. So that's the importance, but could be any fossil according to D. I don't think that's right. A, Canadian paleobiologist such and such fossil has the skull and teeth of a seal, which like sea lions and walruses is a pinniped. Oh, okay, so what? That's not the importance. Pinnipeds are descended from 4-legged critters. A fossil that resembles both was recently found. That's not the importance. Having 4 legs, but the skull and teeth of a seal, the rare fossil illustrates an early stage in the evolution of pinnipeds from their land-dwelling experts. That's exactly what we say here. Didn't use the word transitional, but this is the same idea. It's demonstrating that it's transitional, and that is the importance. C is the correct answer. The student wants to contrast, so let's find the differences. The purposes of the 2 maps of The Hobbit. So we want to find the differences in the purpose, contrast the purpose, contrast the reasons. We want different reasons for 2 maps. So maybe somehow, why are there 2 maps? Right? Do they have different purposes? Let's figure it out. J.R.R. Tolkien's 1937 novel The Hobbit features 2 maps, okay? The novel opens with a reproduction of the map that the characters use on their quest. This map introduces readers, this is the purpose, readers to the fictional world they're about to enter. The novel closes with a map deciphering every stop on the character's journey. This map allows readers to reconstruct the story they've just read. So the one map introduces, the other map sort of summarizes or reconstructs what they read. So I think those are the differences, the main differences. The Hobbit's opening map introduces readers, yes, to the fictional world, while contrasting transition we need for a contrasting idea. The closing map allows them to reconstruct. That's literally what it says in the bullet points. That is your answer. Let's just check B, C, and D. The Hobbit, a novel published, features a reproduction of a map that characters use on, as well as a map that appears at the end of the novel. Okay, that's fact. That's true, but that says nothing about reason. There's no why. There's no reason given here. So that's not the right answer. The Hobbit's 2 maps, one opening, one closing the novel, each serve a purpose. A purpose? What purpose, right? That's not contrasting the reasons, just saying they have purposes. We want to know what the difference in purposes are. D, in 1937, author J.R. Tolkien published The Hobbit, a novel featuring both an opening and closing map. Nothing about purpose or why there. A is the answer.